The vast expanse of space stretched before Captain Elena Reyes as she stood on the bridge of the Earth Alliance starship Horizon. Countless stars twinkled in the darkness, each a potential harbor for undiscovered worlds and civilizations. Elena's dark eyes gleamed with a mix of excitement and apprehension. After years of searching, humanity was on the brink of its first official contact with an alien species. "Captain, we're approaching the coordinates," Lieutenant Sarah Chen announced from her station. Her fingers danced across the holographic interface, bringing up a detailed scan of the system ahead. Elena nodded, her short black hair catching the soft blue light of the bridge. "Take us out of FTL, Lieutenant. Let's proceed with caution." The horizon smoothly decelerated, the starscape outside the viewports shifting from streaks of light to pinpricks. As the ship entered the system, a small blue-green planet came into view. "It's beautiful," whispered Commander Jack Torres, the ship's XO. He stood beside Elena, his weathered face etched with wonder. "Reminds me of Earth." Elena smiled. "Let's hope its inhabitants are as welcoming as the view." She tapped her comm badge. "All senior staff to the bridge. Initiate first contact protocols." Within minutes, the bridge was buzzing with activity. Dr. Amelia Patel, the ship's xenobiologist, arrived with barely contained enthusiasm. "Captain, the atmospheric readings are incredible. It's almost like a twin of Earth." "Let's not get ahead of ourselves, Doctor," Elena cautioned. "We need tow." Her words were cut short by an urgent alert from the tactical station. "Captain, multiple ships detected entering the system." Elena's posture stiffened. "Identify." The tactical officer, Lieutenant Kazuki Tanaka, frowned at his console. "Unknown configuration, Captain. They're not matching any known signatures in our database." "Shields up," Elena ordered. "Open a channel on all frequencies." The view screen flickered to life, revealing a sight that made the entire bridge crew gasp. The alien beings before them were unlike anything they had imagined. Tall, slender creatures with iridescent skin and large, compound eyes stared back at them. Their faces were a mesmerizing blend of insectoid and almost feline features. One of the aliens stepped forward, its movements fluid and graceful. When it spoke, the ship's universal translator struggled for a moment before conveying the message. "Greetings, travelers. I am Ambassador Zixlian of the Luminary Confederation. We welcome you to our system." Elena took a deep breath, acutely aware that she was about to make history. "I am Captain Elena Reyes of the Earth Alliance starship Horizon. We come in peace and friendship." The alien ambassador's compound eyes seemed to shimmer. "We are pleased to make your acquaintance, Captain Reyes. However, we must inform you that you have entered a system under our protection. The inhabitants of this world are not yet ready for interstellar contact." Elena exchanged glances with her crew. This was an unexpected complication. "We apologize for any intrusion, Ambassador. We were unaware of the situation. Perhaps we could discuss this further and share our protocols for handling pre-contact civilizations." Zixlian's head tilted in what Elena hoped was a gesture of consideration. "Your offer is appreciated, Captain. However, we must ask you to leave this system immediately. The safety and cultural integrity of the Nexarians are our primary concern." The tension on the bridge was palpable. Elena was about to respond when another alarm blared. Lieutenant Tanaka's voice was tight with urgency. "Captain, we're detecting a massive energy buildup from the planet's surface." Dr. Patel rushed to her station, her eyes widening as she analyzed the data. "It's some kind of tectonic disturbance. The planet's core is becoming unstable." Ambassador Zixlian's image on the view screen flickered, their composed demeanor cracking. This is unexpected. Our long-range scans showed no signs of geological instability." Elena made a split-second decision. "Ambassador, whatever our differences, we cannot stand by while an entire civilization is at risk. Will you allow us to assist?" There was a moment of hesitation before Zixlian nodded. "Your offer is appreciated, Captain Reyes. We accept." What followed was a flurry of activity as both human and luminary ships coordinated their efforts. The Horizon's advanced sensors provided crucial data on the planet's deteriorating condition, while the luminary vessels positioned themselves to initiate emergency evacuation procedures. "Captain," Commander Torres reported, his voice grim. "The planet's core is becoming increasingly unstable. At this rate, we have less than 48 hours before total planetary collapse." Elena's mind raced. "We need to buy more time. Dr. Patel, work with the luminary scientists. See if we can find a way to stabilize the core, even temporarily." As the hours ticked by, the situation grew increasingly dire. The Nexarians, unaware of the cosmic drama unfolding above them, continued their daily lives. Elena watched the planet on the viewscreen, her heart heavy with the weight of millions of innocent lives hanging in the balance. "Captain," Lieutenant Chen called out, her voice tinged with hope. "I think we found something." Elena hurried to her station. "What is it, Lieutenant?" Chen brought up a holographic display of the planet's core. "We've detected a network of ancient technology deep within the planet. It seems to be some kind of stabilization system, but it's malfunctioning." Dr. Patel joined them, her eyes alight with excitement. "If we can reactivate this system, we might be able to halt the core destabilization." "The problem is," Chen continued, "the system is incredibly complex. We'd need to send a team down to the surface to access the control centers." Elena turned to the viewscreen, where Ambassador Zixlian was listening intently. "Ambassador, we need your permission to send a team to the surface. I know it goes against your protection protocols, but it may be our only chance to save the Nexarians." Zixlian was silent for a long moment, their compound eyes reflecting the stars. Finally, they spoke. "The risk of cultural contamination is great, Captain Reyes, but the alternative is unthinkable. You have our permission, but we insist on joining your team." Elena nodded, agreed. "We'll assemble a joint team immediately." As preparations for the mission began, Elena couldn't help but feel a mix of trepidation and excitement. This was far from the first contact scenario they had trained for, but it was an opportunity to showcase humanity's greatest strengths: adaptability, courage, and an unwavering commitment to preserving life. The joint human luminary team assembled in the Horizon's shuttle bay. Elena surveyed the group. Commander Torres, Dr. Patel, and Lieutenant Chen represented humanity, while 3 luminary specialists stood beside them, that iridescent skin shimmering under the bay lights. "Remember," Elena addressed the team, "our primary objective is to reactivate the planet's stabilization system without alerting the Nexarians to our presence. We're about to attempt something unprecedented, but I have faith in each of you. Good luck and Godspeed." As the shuttle departed for the planet's surface, Elena returned to the bridge. The viewscreen showed the beautiful blue-green world, deceptively peaceful despite the chaos brewing beneath its crust. She took her seat, her posture rigid with determination. "Now," she said softly, "we wait." The fate of an entire civilization hung in the balance, and the next few hours would determine whether humanity's first major interstellar intervention would end in triumph or tragedy. As the shuttle disappeared into the planet's atmosphere, Elena Reyes steeled herself for whatever challenges lay ahead, ready to face them with all the ingenuity and compassion that humanity had to offer. The shuttle's descent through the Nexarian atmosphere was turbulent, buffeted by strong winds and electromagnetic disturbances. Inside, Commander Jack Torres gripped his seat, his knuckles white. Beside him, Dr. Amelia Patel pored over data on her tablet, her brow furrowed in concentration. "These readings are off the charts," she muttered. "The planet's magnetic field is in chaos." Lieutenant Sarah Chen, at the shuttle's controls, fought to keep the craft steady. "We're approaching the coordinates of the first control center," she announced, her voice tense with concentration. The luminary scientist, Vexler, leaned forward, his compound eyes reflecting the vivid colors of the alien world outside. "We must hurry." The planetary core's instability is accelerating faster than our models predicted. As the shuttle touched down in a clearing surrounded by dense, purple-leaf vegetation, the team quickly donned their environmental suits. The air was breathable, but they couldn't risk leaving traces of their presence. "Remember," Torres addressed the group as they prepared to disembark, "we're here to save lives, not to be seen. Stay alert, stay focused, and stay hidden." They emerged into a world of vibrant colors and strange, swirling mists. In the distance, they could see the spires of an Exurian city, its architecture a blend of organic shapes and crystalline structures that seemed to defy gravity. "It's beautiful," Chen whispered, her voice filled with awe. "And doomed, unless we succeed," Vexilor reminded them grimly. The team made their way through the alien landscape, their senses guiding them towards the hidden entrance of the ancient control center. As they walked, the ground beneath their feet trembled intermittently, a stark reminder of the ticking clock they faced. After what felt like hours of trekking through the dense foliage, they finally reached a cliff face adorned with intricate weathered symbols. Dr. Potel approached, her eyes wide with excitement. "These markings," she breathed, "they're not Nexarian. They must belong to whoever built the stabilization system." Vexilor nodded, his antennae twitching. "The precursors, an ancient race that seeded life across this sector of the galaxy. We found traces of their technology before, but nothing like this." Torres stepped forward, running his hand over the symbols. To his surprise, they began to glow faintly at his touch. "How do we get in?" As if in response to his question, a section of the cliff face shimmered and disappeared, revealing a dark passage leading into the mountain. The team exchanged nervous glances before Torres took the lead, activating the light on his suit. The passage led them deep into the heart of the mountain, twisting and turning until they emerged into a vast chamber. The walls were lined with pulsing bioluminescent circuitry, casting an eerie blue glow over the room. At the center stood a massive pillar of swirling energy, crackling with power. "This must be it," Dr. Patel said, approaching a nearby console, the control center for the stabilization system. As the team spread out to examine the ancient technology, a holographic interface suddenly sprang to life, startling them. Symbols and diagrams flashed across the display, too fast for any of them to comprehend. "It's some kind of diagnostic," Vexilor observed. "The system is aware of the planet's condition, but it can't initiate the stabilization protocols." Chen stepped up to the console, her fingers hovering over the alien interface. "Maybe I can bypass the safety protocols, force a manual override." "Wait," Torres cautioned. "We don't know what effect that might have. We could make things worse." But before they could decide on a course of action, the chamber began to shake violently. Cracks appeared in the walls, and pieces of the ceiling crashed to the floor around them. "We're out of time," Vexilor shouted over the rumbling. "The core is reaching critical instability." In that moment of crisis, it was Chen who took the initiative. Her hands flew over the console, inputting commands with a speed and intuition that seemed almost superhuman. The others watched in awe as the holographic display responded to her touch, the alien symbols aligning and pulsing with newfound energy. "How are you doing that?" Dr. Patel asked, her voice filled with wonder. Chen's eyes were locked on the display, her fingers never pausing. "I don't know. It's like the system is guiding me. I can feel what it needs." The energy pillar at the center of the room began to pulse more rapidly, its color shifting from blue to a brilliant white. The shaking intensified, and for a terrifying moment, it seemed as though the entire mountain might come down on top of them. Then suddenly, everything went still. The team held their breath, waiting for the next tremor, but it never came. Slowly, the energy pillar's pulsing settled into a steady, rhythmic beat. I think we did it," Chen said, stepping back from the console, her hands shaking. Dr. Patel rushed to her instruments, her eyes widening as she read the data. "The core, it's stabilizing. The magnetic field is realigning. It's working. A collective sigh of relief swept through the chamber. Torres clapped Chen on the shoulder, his face beaming with pride. Outstanding work, Lieutenant. You've just saved an entire planet. But their celebration was short-lived. A new alert flashed across the holographic display, accompanied by a series of urgent beeps. What now? Torres asked, tension creeping back into his voice. Vexilor studied the display, his antennae twitching rapidly. The stabilization is only temporary. The system has bought us time, but... But what? Dr. Patel pressed. But it's drawing power from somewhere else, Vexilor finished, his compound eyes reflecting the pulsing light of the energy pillar. Somewhere beyond this planet. As the implications of Vexilor's words sank in, the team realized that their mission was far from over. They had prevented an immediate catastrophe, but in doing so, they may have set in motion events that could have consequences reaching far beyond this single world. Torres tapped his communicator. Torres to Horizon. Captain, we've stabilized the planet's core, but we've got a new problem. We're going to need more time down here. Captain Reyes' voice crackled through the comm. Understood, Commander. But be advised, we're picking up some unusual energy readings in nearby systems. Whatever you've done down there, it's having ripple effects. Torres exchanged worried glances with his team. Copy that, Captain. We'll figure this out. Torres out. As he ended the transmission, Torres turned to face the others. The weight of their accomplishment and the new challenges ahead hung heavy in the air. All right, people, he said, his voice filled with determination. We've won the first battle, but the war's not over. Let's get to work. We need to understand what this system is doing and find a way to stabilize it permanently without endangering other worlds. As the team threw themselves into deciphering the ancient technology around them, they were acutely aware that the fate of not just one, but potentially many worlds now rested on their shoulders. The Horizon's mission of peaceful first contact had evolved into something far more complex and dangerous. Outside the mountain, on the surface of the alien world, life continued as normal for the Nexarians, blissfully unaware of how close they had come to annihilation, or of the strange visitors working tirelessly beneath their feet to secure their future. In orbit, Captain Elena Reyes stood on the bridge of the Horizon, watching the swirling storms on the planet's surface with a mixture of pride and apprehension. They had achieved the impossible, but at what cost? And what new challenges awaited them in the vast, unknown expanse of space? As reports of strange energy fluctuations in nearby systems began to flood in, Elena knew that humanity's first major step onto the galactic stage was about to become far more complicated than anyone could have imagined. But as she looked at the determination on the faces of her crew, she felt a surge of confidence. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together, with all the ingenuity, courage, and compassion that humanity had to offer. The true test of their species on the cosmic stage was just beginning. The bridge of the Horizon was a hive of activity. Captain Elena Reyes stood at the center, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed the spreading energy disturbances across nearby star systems. The success in stabilizing the Nexarian homeworld had come at a price they were only beginning to understand. Report, Elena commanded, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. Lieutenant Kazuki Tanaka responded from his tactical station. Captain, we're detecting massive energy surges in 7 nearby systems. It seems the activation of the Nexarian stabilization system has triggered a chain reaction. Dr. Amelia Patel's voice came through the comm system, tinged with excitement and worry. Captain, we've made a breakthrough down here. The precursor technology isn't just a planetary stabilization system. It's part of a vast network spanning multiple star systems. When we activated it, we essentially turned on a massive machine that had been dormant for millennia. Elena's brow furrowed. A machine? To what end, Doctor? There was a pause before Dr. Patel responded. We're not entirely sure yet, but our best guess is that it's some kind of stellar engineering project. It's drawing energy from the cores of multiple planets to to do something on a galactic scale. The implications were staggering. Elena turned to her XO, Commander Torres, who had just returned from the planet's surface. "Jack, what's your assessment?" Torres ran a hand through his graying hair. "It's beyond anything we've ever encountered, Captain. The Luminari are just as baffled as we are. But one thing's clear, we can't shut it down without risking the destruction of the Nexarian world and possibly others." Before Elena could respond, a new alert blared across the bridge. Lieutenant Chen's fingers flew across her console. "Captain, we're detecting multiple ships entering the system. It's a fleet." The view screen flickered to life, revealing a vast armada of sleek, predatory-looking vessels. Their design was unlike anything in the Earth Alliance database. "Open a channel," Elena ordered, straightening her uniform. The face that appeared on the screen sent a chill through the bridge crew. The alien was vaguely reptilian, with eyes that glowed with an unnatural red light. When it spoke, its voice was a low, menacing hiss. "I am Supreme Commander Zarkaf of the Void Dominion. You have activated the precursor network. Surrender control of the system immediately, or be destroyed." Elena's mind raced. They were outgunned and in unknown territory, but she'd be damned if she'd hand over a populated world to these aggressors. "This is Captain Elena Reyes of the Earth Alliance. We are here on a peaceful mission. The inhabited world below is under our protection. Perhaps we can discuss this situation and find it mutually beneficial." "There will be no discussion," Zarkaf interrupted. "The precursor network is the key to galactic dominance. It belongs to the strong. You have one planetary rotation to comply, or we will take it by force." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Elena turned to her crew, her face set with determination. "Well, it seems we stumbled into something much bigger than we anticipated. Options?" Commander Torres spoke up first. "We're outnumbered and outgunned, Captain. But we have two advantages. We control the planet-side facility, and we have the Luminari on our side." "Agreed," Elena nodded. "Lieutenant Tanaka, contact the Luminari ships. We need to form a united front. Lieutenant Chen, get me a secure line to Earth Alliance Command. They need to know what's happening out here." As the crew sprang into action, Elena felt the weight of command more heavily than ever before. They had come seeking peaceful first contact and scientific discovery. Now they stood as the only line of defense between an innocent civilization and a seemingly implacable foe. Hours ticked by in a flurry of activity. The Luminari, realizing the threat the Void Dominion posed to their protectorate, agreed to a temporary alliance. Earth Alliance Command, after hearing Elena's report, promised to dispatch reinforcements, but it would take days for them to arrive. Down on the planet's surface, Dr. Patel and her team worked feverishly to unravel the secrets of the precursor network. Each new discovery brought both excitement and dread. The power at their fingertips was beyond anything humanity had ever wielded, but one wrong move could spell disaster for multiple star systems. As the deadline approached, Elena called a meeting of her senior staff and the Luminari representatives. The holographic display in the conference room showed the positions of the Void Dominion fleet, now arrayed in an attack formation. "We're out of time," Elena began. "We need a plan. Dr. Patel, what have you learned about the precursor network?" Amelia's hologram flickered as she reported from the planet's surface. "It's incredible, Captain. The network isn't just drawing energy from planetary cores. It's reshaping space-time itself. We think it might be capable of creating stable wormholes, allowing for instantaneous travel across vast distances." The room erupted in murmurs of awe and disbelief. Elena raised a hand for silence. "And the Void Dominion knows this." "It appears so," the Luminari ambassador Zixlian interjected. "Our intelligence suggests they've been searching for the network for centuries. With it, they could conquer the galaxy in a matter of years." Elena's mind raced with the implications. "Then we can't let them have it. But we can't destroy it either, not without dooming the Nexarians, and who knows how many other worlds. She turned to Lieutenant Tanaka. Kazuki, what are our tactical options? Tanaka's face was grim. We're outnumbered at least 5-1, Captain. Even with the Luminary ships, a direct confrontation would be costly. The room fell into a tense silence. The fate of not just one world, but potentially the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. It was Commander Torres who finally broke the silence, a glint of inspiration in his eyes. What if we don't fight them, or surrender? All eyes turned to him. What if we use the network against them? Dr. Patel's hologram leaned forward eagerly. What do you mean, Commander? Torres stood, pacing as he explained. The network can reshape space-time, right? What if we could, I don't know, create a bubble around this system? Something that would keep the Void Dominion out, but allow us to continue our work. Amelia's eyes widened. A localized space-time distortion. It's theoretically possible, but the energy requirements would be enormous. And the risk of failure catastrophic, Zixian added, their compound eyes flickering with concern. Elena considered the idea, weighing the risks against the alternatives. It was a desperate plan, but they were in a desperate situation. How long would it take to implement something like this, Doctor? With the help of the Luminary scientists, maybe 12 hours. But Captain, we'd be operating on pure theory. The consequences of a mistake could be no worse than surrendering to the Void Dominion or fighting a hopeless battle. Elena finished. She stood, her decision made. Do it. Commander Torres, work with Dr. Patel and the Luminary team. Lieutenant Tanaka, prepare our defenses. We need to buy them as much time as possible. As the meeting adjourned and her crew rushed to their tasks, Elena remained in the conference room, staring out at the stars. In a matter of days, they had gone from an expedition of peaceful exploration to the front lines of a conflict that could determine the fate of the galaxy. She thought of Earth, of all the people back home who had no idea of the danger lurking in the depths of space. She thought of the Nexarians, blissfully unaware of the battle about to be waged in their skies. And she thought of her crew, ordinary men and women about to attempt the extraordinary. A quiet determination settled over her. Whatever the coming hours might bring, Elena Reyes knew that humanity would face it with courage, ingenuity, and an unwavering commitment to protecting the innocent. The true test of their species on the galactic stage was at hand, and failure was not an option. As she turned to leave the conference room and return to the bridge, Elena whispered a quiet promise to the stars. We will not fail, not today, not ever. The door hissed shut behind her, and the fate of galaxies hung in the balance as the Horizon and its crew prepared to make their stand against the encroaching darkness of the Void Dominion. As the insectoid Krill Fak warship loomed closer, its weapons primed to deliver a lethal strike, Captain Marcus Reynolds knew they were running out of time. He couldn't afford hesitation. Every second counted. Helm, accelerate. Reynolds ordered, his voice cutting through the tension on the bridge of the Earth Alliance vessel Resolve. The screen in front of him displayed the Zorian shuttle, flickering under the KAC warship's assault. In the corner of his eye, he saw the crew tense, focused on their individual tasks with unyielding determination. The Resolve surged forward, thrusters roaring as it closed the gap between itself and the alien enemies. Reynolds gripped the armrest of his captain's chair, his mind racing with the variables they had to juggle. The Zorian family had minutes, maybe less, but they were not going to give up. Not now. Shields to maximum, Reynolds barked. The bridge's lights flickered for a moment as the shield generators hummed to full capacity. On the screen, the Krill warship turned its attention from the shuttle to the incoming Resolve, realizing the humans were preparing for a head-on confrontation. Incoming fire, shouted the tactical officer. A barrage of energy blasts hurtled towards the Resolve, their deadly light streaking through the cold vacuum of space. The ship rocked violently as the shields absorbed the brunt of the attack, but the crew remained steady, their faces set in grim determination. Shields holding at 75%, Captain, the officer reported. Reynolds nodded. We're not going to win a straight-up fight. Tactical, prepare decoy maneuvers and arm the plasma cannons. Decoy maneuvers ready, confirmed the tactical officer, his hands moving swiftly over the controls. Reynolds' mind raced. They needed to draw the Krill ship's fire away from the Zorians long enough for them to get to safety, but engaging a warship of that size and firepower head-on was suicide. They would need to be smarter than that. Send a signal to the Zorian shuttle, Reynolds said. Tell them to prepare for evasive maneuvers. We're about to get them a window. The Resolve made its daring approach, but the closer they got, the more erratic the Krill's attacks became. They were determined to finish the job, and it was clear that the Zorian shuttle wouldn't last under sustained fire for much longer. The comms crackled, and Arena's voice, shaking with desperation, came through. This is Arena of the Zorian shuttle. We're losing power. Zorin is unconscious, and we don't know how much longer we can hold out. Reynolds' heart sank, but he refused to let it show. Arena, this is Captain Reynolds. We're going to cover you. I need you to trust me. We'll get you out of this. For a moment, there was silence, and then Arena replied, her voice steadier than before. We trust you, Captain. Please, don't let them take my family. Reynolds tightened his grip on his chair. Helm, bring us in close. We need to draw their fire. The Resolve swooped in, circling around the Krill warship in a series of evasive maneuvers designed to confuse their targeting systems. The Krill responded with a furious volley of energy blasts, but the Resolve danced through space, ducking and weaving between the incoming fire. Now, fire the decoys, Reynolds shouted. In an instant, multiple decoy drones shot out from the Resolve, scattering in different directions. The Krill, unsure which targets were real, began firing wildly at the decoys, giving the Zorian shuttle a brief respite from the assault. Plasma cannons, fire, Reynolds ordered. The Resolve's plasma cannons unleashed a barrage of bright blue energy, striking the Krill warship's hull. Though the ship's shields absorbed most of the blasts, the Krill hesitated, recalculating their next move. Zorian shuttle now. Reynolds called through the comms. Get clear. Arena's voice crackled through once more, panic laced with hope. We're moving. Through the viewport, Reynolds watched as the crippled Zorian shuttle jerked into motion, its engines sputtering but functional. It sped away from the conflict zone, but not fast enough to escape notice. The Krill are redirecting their fire, the tactical officer warned. They're targeting the shuttle again. Not on my watch, Reynolds growled. Helm, take us between them. All power to forward shields. The Resolve surged forward, placing itself directly in the line of fire. The bridge shook violently as the Krill's energy blasts slammed into the shields. Red warning lights flashed, and the sound of systems straining under the assault filled the room. Shields at 30%, Captain, the tactical officer yelled. We can't take much more of this. Reynolds knew they were running out of options. The Resolve's shields were failing, and they didn't have the firepower to take down the Krill warship. But if they could just buy the Zorians enough time. Suddenly, a new signal appeared on the radar. Captain, the sensor officer called out, excitement in his voice. New contacts on approach. It's an Earth Alliance fleet. Reynolds allowed himself a brief smile. About time. Within moments, several Earth Alliance warships appeared, dropping out of warp space in perfect formation. They wasted no time, immediately opening fire on the Krill warship with overwhelming force. The insectoid vessel, now heavily outnumbered, began to retreat, its engines flaring as it fled into the depths of space. The threat was over. Reynolds leaned back in his chair, letting out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Get me a status update on the Zorian shuttle. After a moment, the comms officer turned to him with a relieved smile. They're clear, Captain. The Zorians are safe. Reynolds nodded, satisfaction settling over him. Good work, everyone. Let's bring them aboard. As the Resolve moved to rendezvous with the Zorian shuttle, Reynolds allowed himself a moment of quiet pride. They had done it. Against impossible odds, they had saved a family, because that's what humans did. As the Zorian shuttle drifted through space, on the brink of destruction, hope was a fragile thing. The TAC warship loomed closer, its weapons powered up, ready to obliterate the helpless family. Arena, her heart pounding in her chest, held her son Moloch tightly, whispering words of comfort that even she struggled to believe. Zoran, weak and barely conscious, lay on the floor of the shuttle, his breathing shallow. His wound, a deep gash from the earlier attack, bled steadily, his purple blood pooling around him. Moloch looked up at his mother with wide, terrified eyes, his small body trembling with fear. "Mom, are we going to die?" Moloch's voice was barely a whisper, choked with tears. Arena looked down at her son, her heart breaking. She didn't have an answer, but she couldn't let him lose hope. "No, baby," she whispered. "The humans, they're coming. They're going to help us." But even as she said the words, Arena wasn't sure if she believed them. The human ship was still minutes away, and the Krill Thak were already preparing to strike. The Zorian shuttle's shields were gone, its life support failing, and they had no weapons to defend themselves. It felt like the end. As the Zorian shuttle drifted through space, on the brink of destruction, hope was a fragile thing. The TAC warship loomed closer, its weapons powered up, ready to obliterate the helpless family. Arena, a heart pounding in her chest, held her son Moloch tightly, whispering words of comfort that even she struggled to believe. Zoran, weak and barely conscious, lay on the floor of the shuttle, his breathing shallow. His wound, a deep gash from the earlier attack, bled steadily, his purple blood pooling around him. Moloch looked up at his mother with wide, terrified eyes, his small body trembling with fear. "Mom, are we going to die?" Moloch's voice was barely a whisper, choked with tears. Arena looked down at her son, her heart breaking. She didn't have an answer, but she couldn't let him lose hope. "No, baby," she whispered. "The humans, they're coming. They're going to help us." But even as she said the words, Arena wasn't sure if she believed them. The human ship was still minutes away, and the Krill Thak were already preparing to strike. The Zorian shuttle's shields were gone, its life support failing, and they had no weapons to defend themselves. It felt like the end. Suddenly, the TAC warship fired. A blinding beam of energy shot from its cannons, aimed directly at the Zorian shuttle. Arena braced herself, clutching Moloch as the blast hit. The shuttle rocked violently, alarms blaring, as systems failed one by one. This is it, she thought, her mind racing with memories of their escape from the burning ruins of their homeworld, of Zoran's bravery, of Moloch's innocent laughter before the war. This was how it would end. But just as the final blow was about to strike, something extraordinary happened. A flash of light illuminated the darkness of space as a new ship appeared, dropping out of hyperspace right between the Krill Thak warship and the Zorian shuttle. It was the human vessel, smaller and less armed than the insectoid warship, but it moved with purpose and precision. Captain Reynolds of the Earth Alliance vessel Resolve came the commanding voice over the comms. "We are here to assist. Engage all defensive systems." Arena's eyes widened in shock and hope. The humans had arrived. The Resolve maneuvered with astonishing speed, positioning itself between the Zorian shuttle and the Krill Thak warship. Without hesitation, the human ship opened fire, its weapons blazing as it unleashed a barrage of energy blasts at the larger insectoid vessel. The Krill Thak, caught off guard by the sudden appearance of the human ship, hesitated for a moment. But then, with a screech of defiance, they returned fire. The space between the two ships became a deadly dance of energy beams and explosions. Inside the Resolve, Captain Reynolds stood tall, his face set in determination. "Keep firing," he ordered. "We need to buy that shuttle more time." His crew worked with precision, their hands flying over their consoles as they directed the ship's weapons and shields. The Resolve was outgunned, but they had one advantage. They were fighting for something more than victory. They were fighting to save lives. Arena watched in awe as the human ship fought valiantly against the overwhelming power of the Krill Thak. She had never seen such bravery, such selflessness. The humans had no reason to help them, yet here they were, risking their own lives to protect a family of strangers. But the Krill Thak were relentless. Their warship, though damaged by the Resolve's attacks, was still a formidable force. Another blast of energy hit the human ship, causing it to shake violently. Inside the Zorian shuttle, Arena could see sparks flying from the Resolve's hull as its shields weakened. They can't hold out much longer, she thought, her heart sinking. They're going to die, because of us. Just then, another voice came through the comms. This is Lieutenant Sarah Martinez of the Earth Alliance. Reinforcements are on their way. Hold the line. Arena's eyes widened in disbelief. Reinforcements? Could it be true? The humans were not alone. And then, out of the darkness of space, more ships appeared. Small, fast, and heavily armed, they flew in formation, heading straight for the Krill Thak warship. The insectoids, sensing the tide of battle turning against them, began to retreat. Captain Reynolds, his face still calm but resolute, gave the final order. Fire everything we've got. The Resolve and the newly arrived Earth Alliance ships unleashed a devastating salvo of energy blasts. The Krill Thak warship, its shields failing and hull breached, shuddered under the assault. With a final, deafening explosion, the insectoid ship disintegrated into a cloud of debris. The battle was over. Arena, her heart still racing, stared out the viewport in stunned silence. The Krill Thak were gone. They were safe. The humans had saved them. As the Resolve approached the Zorian shuttle, Captain Reynolds' voice came through the comms once more. This is Captain Reynolds. Zorian shuttle, you're safe now. We'll get you to a medical ship immediately. Hang in there. Tears welled up in Arena's eyes as she hugged Murloc tightly. Thank you, she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. Thank you, humans. Murloc, his face still wet with tears, looked up at his mother and smiled. For the first time in what felt like forever, there was hope. The humans had come, and they had won.